We'll let these guys get in position behind me here. So thank you again for having us here. My name's Ryan. It's hard to be here, but it's heartening to see so many of us continue to be here, even on days filled with such bad news. As other speakers had mentioned, the inhumane removal of Canada's funding to UNRWA, it's not surprising to me, of course. We have a state here guilty of its own genocidal project on these lands. It's not surprising that it jumps at the chance to penny pinch and take away whatever aid it comes from its allies committing genocide elsewhere. And frankly, I can't help but see this as perhaps a little retaliatory for the decision made at the ICJ earlier this week. So we're here representing Labour for Palestine. We're an organization of activists, labor union organizers, and everyday working people just like so many of you here. And we wish to see peace and justice in Palestine and an end to the apartheid and genocide and violence that we see day after day. I want to say I've been asked time and again over the last few months why Palestine is a labor issue. And the responses are always, well, shouldn't we be focusing on our bread and butter concerns, the rising cost of living, the dwindling wages? And sure, but the people that are asking these questions to me seem to miss something key. They seem to be missing the connection that our fights are won. That the people being bombed in Gaza are working class people just like us. That we owe them our solidarity. Solidarity to fellow working people, not to the states that try to crush us. We have a very clear example right here that I think helps illustrate how this connection is formed. Only a few days ago, Dr. Natalie Knight at Langara College in Vancouver was fired for her support of Palestine. This after the university had found that she had not violated any policy, was well within her charter rights of free expression. But this, it seemed, was not good enough for the Minister of Post-Secondary Education, Selena Robinson, who personally called for Knight to be fired and met with Langara College leadership prior to her dismissal. And Knight's union, the Federation of Post-Secondary Educators of BC, I think says it best, quote, "This was an unprecedented and inappropriate intrusion into the institutional autonomy of Langara College and an astounding statement for a minister to make about a faculty member at an institution under her jurisdiction. The timing and political meddling by the minister in a process taints the college's actions and fatally undermines the notion of institutional independence," unquote. If the final stage of genocide is denial, then what we are seeing is Canada setting the groundwork for just that through the punishment of any who would speak out. So we need to make the stakes clear. Bosses who cut our wages, gouge us at the grocery store, landlords who devour our rents, and our meager incomes in rising rents on stolen land, the Canadian settler state itself that destroys what public service remains to us and responds with policing instead of care when problems arise. These are the ones that are arm in arm with those who sell weapons to the state of Israel and rain bombs on Gaza. Arm in arm with apartheid and colonialism. Our foes do not live in Gaza or arrive by boat. They live in penthouses and arrive by limousine. And they work in the building behind us. The labor movement, we must admit, sadly, has a spotty history. It has been one that has been filled with racism and exclusion and the white-hot hate of settler colonialism. But it also has a proud history of solidarity, which we see here and throughout the arc of our struggles. South African apartheid, the dictatorship in Chile, civil rights and the anti-war movement, all have been labor's struggle too. And decolonization around the world always forces labor in countries like Canada, imperialist countries, to ask ourselves one simple question: which side are we on? Do we want to be lapdogs for imperialist genocidaires raining death upon the people of Gaza and around the world? Or do we want to atrophy and roll over here at home under arrogant and selfish interests? Or do we stand proud with our old words that an injury to one is an injury to all? So, in accordance with the calls of the Palestine General Federation of Trade Unions, we ask you to organize as workers in your union to show your solidarity for Palestinians and demand a ceasefire like the BCGEU, NUPGE, the BCTF, CUPE, and so many other unions have. Take action to make justice for your fellow workers who are repressed by our own colonial state for daring to demand a ceasefire. Demand a weapons embargo. Refuse to handle weapons of war. Demand a recall of the Canadian ambassador to Israel. Connect with workers in the arms industry to use their power to shut down the mass production of death. We've done it before. We can do it again. We've done it before as Scottish workers refused to build fighter jets for Pinochet under the beautiful words, "No passerán." So use your power as workers to give these demands teeth. Join unions, join labor councils, and organize actions in line with these demands. And build up our infrastructure, the infrastructure of the labor movement, our international workers' movement. Build the infrastructure that we need to change the world in Palestine and everywhere. We'll see you in the streets. Please come talk to us. Come talk to Labor for Palestine. Join us if you are so inclined. And let's work together for peace, equality, justice, and freedom for all, from the river to the sea and the world over. I want to close with one last word from one of the martyrs of Irish decolonization in the last century, Terence McSweeney. Days can look dark, but always remember, as McSweeney said, people endure, empires perish. Thank you, and free Palestine.